What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Please watch all of this one and let's dive in. Alright guys, we're going to dive into the Bitcoin price chart, and this is super cool if you have yet to see this. So we have a few analysts that have different models to attempt to predict the next Bitcoin top, or the highest price that Bitcoin will reach before it collapses. And this is super important whether or not you like Bitcoin. If you have exposure to altcoins, the Bitcoin price top is extremely important. So we're going to dive into this and show you some very cool calculations and keep it as simple as possible. So big shout out to this video, The Ugly Reality of Bitcoin's Next Top, New Developments. And this is Crypto Crew University, and this guy's name is Steve. And a buddy of mine showed me this 5.3 calculation last month, and I thought it was really cool because it did work. And Steve here is the one that actually found this, so if you guys have time, go check out this video because it's super interesting. So we're going to go over this really quick and then dive into some additional info. So this is the Bitcoin price chart on the 3-day time frame, looking at over a decade of historical data. And historically, since Bitcoin came out in 2009, we've seen big impulsive waves coming back down, being corrective. So bear market, bull market, bear market, bull market. And what you can see is we're just using this wick, and this is the Bitcoin index versus the US dollar, measuring the cycle bottom to the cycle top, measuring the cycle bottom right there to the cycle top, doing this each time, the bottom right there to the top. The bottom in 2018 to the top that we just had in November of 2021. And we're going to do a few calculations trying to stay open-minded and considering different Bitcoin bottoms. Did we recently bottom? We're going to take a look at that price. Or do we actually go lower and close those CME gaps? So let me show you what Steve discovered. We're going to take out our handy dandy calculator and we're going to look at this first impulsive wave. And I'm just using the bottom of this wick. So that is about 326,881%, as you can see right there. We're going to divide this number every single time by the magic number 5.3. Now stay with me. Hit equal. Now that gives us 61,675. What Steve discovered, and I think he was just playing around, but this is fascinating, and then he applied the 61,675 number as a percent increase. And as you can see, from this cycle bottom to the very top of the market cycle, this was so close to this number, 61,610. And remember, it was just the first impulse of 326,000 divided by 5.3. So now we have this number, which is the cycle top. We're going to divide that by 5.3 again. So divided by 5.3. And that gives us 11,600. So now, measuring from the bottom to the top, 11,600. Where did the cycle top take us? 11,700. Basically that exact number. Okay, so what do we do next? We take the same number, divide it by 5.3 once more. That is 2,195. Doing that same measurement from the bottom and measuring 2,195. From the bottom, 2,195. That gets us around 72K for Bitcoin. And the top was 69K, so that is so close. And remember that it already perfectly calculated this top, and this top. So now what we're asking is, let's take this number and divide it by 5.3 to get the percent return that we can take a measurement from the next Bitcoin bottom to get an estimate of the next cycle top, if this model continues to hold. So we'll take this number, divided by 5.3, 414%. So you can see each cycle, 320,000, then a 60,000, then almost a 12,000, now only a 2,000, and now only a 400%. There are diminished returns in Bitcoin as this asset class is maturing. And now for this example, we're going to assume that this bottoming structure that we had where Bitcoin crashed to 15,500 is very similar to what we saw in 2018 before retracement, and arguably all the way back to the 2015 bear market before recovery. And assuming this is the bottom and taking a 414% increase or a measurement, that would take us to approximately a 79,000, let's just say an $80,000 Bitcoin. Now there are a bunch of different perspectives for the Bitcoin price chart. Some people are looking for a Bitcoin retracement to get up to 40, 50K, and then a pullback, whether it's here and it's a double bottom before the next cycle, or we actually create another low, and that's the spring in the accumulation structure. There's some that just believe we're going to be actually ranging for a while until the Bitcoin halving and then take off. And there's some people that think this is a massive bull trap and we're eventually, whether now or later, going to come all the way down and retest and close that CME gap at 9,800 before getting that recovery in the crypto market. So using this model, if this were in fact our bottom, this would be projecting about a $79,000 or $80,000 Bitcoin. Drawing a fib using that as the swing high to the low, we can see pretty close to the 127 Fibonacci extension. And what about for the bears if we do in fact go all the way down to 9,800? And that's around a $50,000 or $51,000 Bitcoin price. And why did I choose that $9,800 level? Because we still have open CME gaps below and also above that need to close. And for anybody new to the channel, this is something we talk about from time to time over the past few years. You can also see some older videos back in 2020 and we were actually highlighting this gap. Unfortunately, it did not close. But remember, there were also other gaps in price on the Bitcoin futures here that eventually closed. There were gaps here that closed. There was even a gap up here towards $60,000. We crashed. I saw that open gap and I was hoping we'd come back up, and luckily we did. So that closed that gap. But during this huge collapse, when Bitcoin was entering this huge sell-off, this huge distribution phase, we left gaps above to close at 35,000 along with 28,000 for Bitcoin. So that is why I'm using that $9,800 gap, because it is still open. So for any bears out there, I want to entertain that. And what do I want? I want a beautiful Bitcoin retracement. I want the altcoin market to wake up. And I'll show you a few examples in this video why exactly I think that and why I couldn't care less and even looking to sell some of my alts. Unless they absolutely skyrocket like a few already have, I'm not interested until Bitcoin is closer to that 40K zone around the 50% retracement. No matter the bottom that you're using for the swing low, whether it's the 15.5 that we just bottomed at, or if we do go lower in the future, I couldn't care less because the 50% is still around 40K. And not financial advice, and remember, this is just my opinion. I personally believe that Bitcoin closes the gaps above first. I know everybody wants me to be an extremist on a YouTube channel, but I cannot guarantee that Bitcoin will never close that 9,800 gap someday. We've had a variety of black swans before. We could have another liquidity crisis. Anything is possible. But I will say this, and you guys can make fun of me or hold me to it, I believe it is possible for Bitcoin to hit 100K someday. Keyword being someday. And you better believe that I still have fantasies about Bitcoin and the entire crypto market doing a blow-off top. Now, a blow-off top by definition does not mean it has to actually create a new all-time high price, although I would love nothing more. A blow-off top could be tons of buy volume, parabolic rises, green candles back to back. And we can see Bitcoin here and Zilliqa on the right. We can see Zilliqa, of course, did this last year in 2022, doing over a 500, almost a 600% increase technically, which is close to a 7x return before a big pullback, if not a crash. So if any alts are doing multiple 100% moves in a matter of months, nothing personal, I'll keep long-term holds, but I am definitely trying to get my initial investment out or taking substantial profits after a multi-100% move. Here's another example of a blow-off top, of course, SingularityNet AGIX, and this was a smaller cap riding the AI interest as well, and we can see breaking into a new all-time high price, over a 19x return. So how cool would it be for a crazy blow-off top? You know, I would love a six-figure Bitcoin even to hit that 1.27. And for me, this would be the super bullish Hail Mary play. But for now, I'm just watching 40K. We're not out of the woods yet, and we just have to take one level at a time, because we also have CME gaps down here. But once again, I personally believe that we can close these gaps up here first. We can see Ethereum Classic also did this last year. This was over a 3x. You can see Render on the move, and this bad boy popped over 5x. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean a new all-time high price. This is a parabolic example, a 5x return since January. Now these are altcoins, so of course they're more volatile. If Bitcoin does a 2x in a single month, I'm taking profits. You can see LCX since December pushing over 8x, 8.4, which is a 740% increase. We know QNT did this last year, just over a 5x. What is it, 460? I always forget. Yeah, 460. We also had Waves do this from wick to wick. This was over an 8x or a 700% increase, and this is in 77 days, so just over 2 months. That's what I consider a blow-off top, in this case creating a new all-time high price. And throwing some fibs on Waves to the high, to the low, where did we go? Let me drag it over so it's a little more clean. Right up to the 1618 Fibonacci extension. Now you guys can do what's best for you, but I'm telling you right now, for me personally, if something does an 8x return in 2 months, hell, if it does a 3x, I'm at least taking my initial investment out. Now, if it's something I see has a strong future, whether that's XRP, Algo, HBAR, Casper, API 3, I'm going to leave some. I want some exposure. I want a stake. I want to earn more of it. And if it crashes, I'll accumulate even more all over again. Whether that's for a little trading bag or just my long-term holds, lock it up, forget about it. I already got my initial investment out. I'm in a good place mentally, and I can just go chill. All right, so that was just a few examples of what I'm talking about, parabolic rises. A parabolic rise is back-to-back candles, kind of like a blow-off top, without any major pullbacks or corrective structures. It's just forming a bull flag after next and just creating new highs. And yes, I would absolutely love for Bitcoin to follow suit, and anything is possible. I'll never be able to predict what the candle body is going to do perfectly. If I do, that is pure luck. And eventually, after making so many guesses, yeah, you're going to be right. You're going to have some wins and you're going to have some losses. But I wanted to make this video and share some of my thoughts, and I hope it makes sense. So right now within the market, I am trading, but I am not FOMOing. If Bitcoin goes and challenges new lows, then I'll dollar cost average into alts I believe in. Right now, I've had over a year of accumulating in this past bear market. I'm going to sit on my hands and try to trade and compound returns. If alts start recovering towards a new all-time high price or closer up to these retracements, then I'll start taking some off the table, at the very least get my initial investment out. When I got my initial investment out in a few alts, everybody said, have fun staying poor, and they just hate on you. Ignore those people. I did that for QNT. I did that for XRP. I did that for DAG. I did it for a variety of assets. And I'm planning to do that right now for Casper, allocating a lot of funds as much as possible at the lows, not going heavy when it's high, but trying to really double down when we're at those lows at 3 to 2 cents. Because when Casper's at 10 cents, 15 cents, 24 cents, I can get my initial investment out and leave some on the table for life to stake for 10% APY, which is auto compounding. So I want my money to work for me as much as possible, and I don't want to be biting my nails. And unfortunately, this is crypto. Sometimes I am stuck holding a position for 2-3 years until the next cycle. But as long as it's a strong project, I continue to endure, because we've gone over 1 year without any type of substantial retracement. So coming up here, we saw it's near the 127 fib. Let's also draw a fib using the swing high up here, and we're going to use the $9,800 gap as the swing low. And funny enough, this would take us right up to the 702 Fibonacci retracement at $51,000 per Bitcoin. So right here, I just showed you a range of 50,000 up to 80,000. And there's a lot of guys showing different wave counts and Bitcoin breaking over $100,000 someday. And I would absolutely love that, but I'm just trying to stay realistic. So friendly reminder, that bottom would take us perfectly to a 702. We recently did a video talking about when I would consider to at least sell some altcoins once again after a really long 2021 and 22. So we're going to go back to a couple cycles really quick just to emphasize the Fibonacci retracement and looking at the 50%. 50% retracement up there, Bitcoin got there. New cycle started. Another Fibonacci retracement, did Bitcoin make it up to the 50%? 50% here, yes. We broke through again, we started the next cycle. So whether or not this bear market is drawing a cup and handle before creating a new high, or a retracement, then a crash, then en route to the all-time high, I personally believe that Bitcoin creates a new all-time high price. It's just a matter of time. So how I'm playing it is watching that 50% retracement, and it could be a little conservative. You could look at higher levels. You can see wicks up to the 618, etc. But I want to make sure I'm looking at my altcoins when Bitcoin is at the 50% retracement. Because throughout this bear market, after dollar cost averaging for quite some time, I want to see a return on my money. And if Bitcoin goes up to the 50%, around 42,000 per Bitcoin, from the high to the low, assuming this is the bottom, that would be around $42,000 for Bitcoin. And remember that Bitcoin from this low only pumped about 50% thus far. There have been some alts, Fetch, LCX, AGIX, some riding different trends, some coming out with really good positive developments, and a variety of alts that are lower caps have done 3, 5, even 10x returns since their November low, and then some higher caps are maybe up 2x. An example would be HBAR going from 3.5 cents to as high as 8 cents thus far, so that is over a 2x or a 2.2x. And so the idea right here is Bitcoin from here did about a 50% move wick to wick, if not more. And some alts did a 2, 3, 5x return thus far. If Bitcoin climbs up even to this retracement, if it goes higher, awesome. Imagine what alts can do. Up to the 50% from the bottom is a 2.7x return. And that means altcoins can do a 3, 5, 10x return depending on their market cap. And after dollar cost averaging in a variety of positions, trying to go as heavy as possible when I see a bottoming structure, if alts do a 3, 5x return, I have no issue whatsoever recouping my initial investment and leaving the rest as house money. If I believe in the project and I think it's promising long term and I want some exposure, I'll hold at least 25% for life, let it ride. Whether that is staking for, APY and compounding those returns long term, even better. And when that time comes, just like back here, people are going to try to shame you for taking profits. Never let anybody make you feel guilty for taking profits. This is your life. Get rid of those people, ignore them, because more times than not, they just want you to hold so they can later sell while you hold. So when Bitcoin gets up to that level, I have no issue recouping my initial investment after a 2, 3, 5x return. If I can get additional profit on top of that, even better. And if Bitcoin breaks through, creates a new all-time high price, I'm not going to have FOMO because I still have exposure. Even if it's only 25%, you're in a good spot mentally and emotionally because you recouped your initial investment, the rest is house money, and if it makes you more money, even better. And if it does, another 3-5x from there, there's nothing wrong with taking even more profits on top of that and still trying to reallocate funds to hold long term. I'm never 100% in the market, I'm never 100% out of the market. My portfolio allocation is not perfect. I don't think there's any perfect way. It's just something that I'm trying to constantly evolve in an ever-changing market. So some people during a bear market, they say, hey, I'm getting the heck out. I'm going to be maybe 50% in stables or just withdraw my money, put it back in the bank, maybe focus on real estate, do something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. And even if I try to lower my exposure in a bear market, I'm still dollar cost averaging, trying to find that bottom, because even DCAing in Bitcoin or alts at these bottoms is going to be significantly better and pay off a lot more in the future. There's so many retail guys that buy the top, buy here, and then the market crashes and they say, I'm done with this, and they sell at a loss. If you're focused on legitimate projects that are future-proofing, have funding, and real use cases, and they survive for the years ahead, there's a good chance they're going to recover 3, 5, 10x, or approach their all-time high, if not higher. So if I bought Algo at 30 cents, it crashed to 20 cents, I'm going to buy. It crashed to 15 cents. Ooh, I'm going to try to buy, but I'm not going to buy the bottom. Maybe I'm out of cash. Oh well. I've been buying, bringing that average entry down. Then when Algo's back up to 50 cents, I'm in profit. When it's at $2, awesome, even better. It's a very long game. So for this example, that is 42K. Now let's actually apply the Fibonacci and see the 50% retracement using the 9,800 bottom, the CME gap. So from the high around 69,000 all the way down to about 9,800, around 39 or 40K for Bitcoin. So notice for me, I'm saying 40K across the board. That entire zone is basically a 50% retracement no matter what bottom you're using. If you think we go to 12K, still around 40K. If you think we bottom once more at 14K, if you think we do a double bottom, and using that as a swing low, it works. So regardless of short term, I'm showing you that 42K area. And of course, I plan to hold my favorite assets long term. As we can recall, even ADA back in the day when it was under 2 cents in April 2020, when the bull run returned, this bad boy did about a 160x return from under 2 cents to $3. So ADA did, from the bottom during the cycle, a 160x. $1,000 turns into 160K. Bitcoin from its bottom did about a 20x, give or take. So you can see 2,000%, maybe a 21x. 21x versus 161x. And I remember watching Cardano launch from the very beginning, all the way back in 2017. It skyrocketed to $1.30. I thought that thing was going to like $5. And then it crashed, and everybody calls it a scam all over again. So 98% crash, actually to the bottom. Let's see, what's the bottom right there? 800 days, 98.5% down. Imagine 800 days of crashing. Holders are exhausted, they don't care about developments, sentiment is low, and they sell out of frustration before doing a 160,000% increase. And that doesn't mean other alts will, but I mean, is it probable others can do a 3,000% increase from the bottom or 5,000? Yes, it happens all the time. Last cycle, DAG did a 70x from the bottom. So meanwhile, you're looking at Casper. Remember, ADA was 800 days from top to bottom, give or take. If we're doing that for Casper, where were we so far? We're at 631 days. And let me actually use the candle body up here, not the actual ICO, because that was just a liquidity causing that. And you can see the bottom was about 98.3% compared to ADA, which was 98.5. Interesting. And remember that ADA went from under 2 pennies, 2 cents, to over $3. So for somebody to say that Casper at 2 cents cannot even hit $1, get out of here. And remember that ADA's all-time high previously back here was about $1.30. Do you think Casper someday, if we even followed a similar fractal on a different time frame, could reach $1.30 like ADA did? Do you think Casper can do what ADA did and reach $3? And if you wanted to look for key levels, of course, I would do the same thing, comparing ADA to Casper side by side in a variety of other price charts. You can see a wick all the way back there. We have a wick right there. We have a wick right there. So that's 3. That's pretty valid in my opinion. That is a zone we have to break. So if ADA went from 2 cents to $3, I think Casper can still do well, even if it's not like for like. When you're looking at an asset that was now 98%, they are building in one of the most legitimate enterprise layer ones that I've ever seen with their own virtual machine. I'm impressed. But please do your own research, guys. Compare it to other L1s in terms of how long they've been around. Do they have a competitive advantage already having Fortune 100 customers based in Switzerland speaking at Davos? Or do they have a disadvantage because they're starting later? There's pros and cons with every single investment. I'm personally very interested. We saw ADA do a 160x, even Algorand did like a 20-25x from the low. That would be around like 50 cents. And then HBAR also did a 60x from the low. That would be $1.30. And remember, it took a couple years to get there. So it's great to see that we've been in this distribution or selling phase for so long. All the public and private sale tokens are done and distributed. And 93% of the total supply is in circulation. They ripped the band-aid off quick. And here's my Casper Moonboy chart just to show you some levels if you guys want to pause the screen. This is basically just considering up top daily candle bodies at 440. We also have wicks right here. This is on the 3-day, but if we go to the daily, it'll be hard to fit the structure. So we'll go back to 3-day. And we can see weekly candle bodies at 60 cents. And just working our way down. Gap at 43 cents. Key levels at 30 cents. Bunch of wicks here around that 23 cent zone. Gap at 18 cents. Gap at 12 cents. 10 cents right here. Remember, this is the swing high where a variety of alts have already reached their March-April 2022 high. And we're all the way down here, potentially breaking out of this triangle, have done a retest. Are we going to hold this level and start riding up, battling through retracements and levels, or is Bitcoin going to ruin the fun? Because remember, we have a CME gap down here at 20,200 as well. And what do I believe, and not financial advice, I believe we close these open gaps above this year. Very close to that 40K level. And here's a chart I showed in Discord last month. So the top chart here is Casper versus Bitcoin on the 2-day. We have Cardano or ADA versus Bitcoin on the 2-day. Looking at Cardano's cycle down here, looking at moving averages, this is the 50, 100, and 200. And you can see very similar in terms of recoveries, retracements, and distribution, and entering the accumulation phase before blast off. And you can see on the 2-day, which means it takes time, but they're in position for a big move. And you can see once it was in position, Cardano actually blasted from this level versus Bitcoin 400% or a 5x, or right here 700% or an 8x. Now considering that same move where the price is, if Casper were to do that, that is a 3.7x to that swing high, the wick right there. In the higher level would be a 5.7x, a 470% move, all the way up to close an open gap on the Casper Bitcoin price chart. What's interesting is I'm paying attention to those wicks. That is supply. And I believe with utility and actual adoption, it's just a matter of time before Casper reaches these levels. Market capitalization is small in the scheme of things. When you consider even the total supply right now, a $1 Casper would be around $11 billion market cap. Last cycle, there were alts in the top 20, top 50 that reached $20 billion to $50 billion market caps. So those examples are 2 to 5 times larger than the conservative example I'm giving here. But anyways, I just thought this was super cool. We can see paying attention to different wicks and key levels to be tested for Cardano versus Bitcoin. And I would be doing the same thing for Casper and comparing it to a variety of alts, whether it's to the US dollar chart, the Bitcoin chart, or the Ethereum price chart. But alright guys, this video got a little longer than I wanted. I ranted too much, but I hope this was informative and pretty interesting. And I have a bunch of info to share in the next one. And a huge thank you to all that like and subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one.